Hello, and welcome to the Leap Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Joan Russell, a change coach and transformation strategist here to help you turn life's big changes into powerful growth. The Leap Lounge is both an in person and online support squad for people ready to take bold leaps, whether in life, career, or purpose. If you're standing at the edge of something new and wondering, what's next? You're in the right place. Are you ready to leap into the unknown? Let's go. Hi, and welcome to the Leap Lounge podcast. I'm here today with Bonnie Graham, who is a coach who handles burnout. And she is fully certified and a fantastic person to talk with about this because she's experienced burnout herself and also works with clients dealing with burnout. And I really want to talk with you today about how navigating fear and self doubt when you're in change can lead to burnout because there's so much change that is happening right now in the world and also with each of our listeners right now. Everybody is going through some sort of big change, whether that's in their life, in their career. And the people who are listening today want to make a big leap into something new and different. And doing that sometimes really triggers that fear and self-doubt in ourselves. So let's talk a little bit about that. But first, before we dive in, could you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So sometimes I refer to myself as a recovering architect. That was my first profession, was in architecture, but it never quite felt right for me. I felt like there was something else I was better suited to do, that I had more potential. I found coaching while I was in architecture and just I fell in love with coaching, the kind of relationship it builds with the coach and the potential that comes out of coaching. It was truly a life transforming experience. And then I wanted to make a leap, but I got stuck, really hardcore stuck in my job and I burnt out. And that was the moment of pivot, really. It felt like the end. It felt like I had collapsed and I didn't know if I was going to come back. I didn't know but it gave me time to reflect and reevaluate. And that's been the journey ever since, is trying to figure out how to do life differently.
Ooh, I love that. How to do life differently. So during this pathway, obviously you're certified as a coach. And then I know you added on a number of other different modalities while you were going through this because you were curious about
Yeah,
what would help.
absolutely. Yeah. I think my emotional life has always been something really front and center. I always feel emotions really strongly. So I took a course about emotions to learn more about how to manage them. And that was great. And then I also took a neuroscience of coaching course, and fascinating just to understand what's happening in the client's brain and why the different tools in coaching are effective.
Okay. And I understand that you also, your business is, it's called Navigating from the Heart or Heart Navigation.
Heartfelt navigation.
Heartfelt Navigation.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all of your experience with emotions and neuroscience and heartfelt navigation, thinking about our audience today and what I like to call, making a big leap in their lives, how can heartfelt navigation and leading from the heart help while they're going through this process?
Yeah. Well, I feel like the way I led my life in the first half was all from the brain, logic, making decisions based on external influence. And I ignored my emotions. I knew I was unhappy, but everyone else was unhappy too, or people around me kind of normalized the like hating Mondays and looking forward to the weekend. And
Mhm.
so I ignored my emotions for a long time. And I feel like that was kind of the aha moment once I burned out, was I can't stop ignoring that part of me. And so heartfelt navigation became this like, how can I incorporate my heart, still using my mind? Let's not be crazy, but how can I incorporate my heart, not ignoring those emotions, but actually using that as the information I need to guide my choices and my actions?
Wow. So you talk about using your emotions to navigate your way through life.
Yeah.
How could listeners be more aware of their emotions, but in a way that helps move them forward instead of keeping them stuck?
Well, that's hard. Yeah. Um, there's no silver bullet. I think the more you can understand that your emotions are valid and you're feeling something for a reason, if you can bring curiosity to that, like what is going on? And I think so much of it is questioning what you think you should be feeling. And like if you can let go of that and say, well, this is exactly how I am feeling. Once you understand your reality or accept that, it's much easier to move forward.
So it sounds like a bit of mindfulness really needs to be brought into play here, where it's a matter of sitting down with your emotions and actually feeling them instead of,
Yeah.
I mean, so many times when we're moving so quickly throughout life, and I don't know about you, but I move really quickly, it feels like, especially lately. And you just kind of bulldoze through your emotions. So, I mean, one of the ways I sit and listen with my emotions is through meditation or just noticing when I feel off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first thing is noticing that off feeling.
Mm.
For me, I journal. Like I just sit down and write to myself. I also have one of these emotion wheels. I keep it on my computer and I'll just sit down like I'm feeling some kind of way and I read all the words around the emotion wheel and once I name it, actually just naming the emotion, it's like you've seen it and it can relax a little. Like, oh, yes, you acknowledged me.
Oh, wow. So that acceptance
Yeah.
piece. Yeah. Accepting that you were, like you said, feeling some kind of way and sitting with it for a little bit instead of just keeping on going. Because sometimes when you bury those emotions, they come back
They
stronger,
do. Yes.
twofold. Okay. You've been through burnout. What were some of your fears during burn?
Oh man, so many fears. I mean, it felt like a personal failure, which now I know is not true, but that's how it felt at the time. And I had worries of how will I ever work again? Am I ever going to feel okay? Yeah, I felt so depleted, and demoralized, and confused. And, I didn't know that this was normal or that this could happen. I guess I didn't know what was happening to me. Yeah. But mostly it was what does this mean for the future? Am I ever gonna be okay again?
Am I ever going to be okay again? Yeah. That whole not knowing piece, which for everyone is the hardest part because you don't know what's going to happen next. And that's really frightening. So before we started this, we talked a little bit about how imposter syndrome rears its head during burnout. How did that impact you?
Yeah, I think I became aware of it afterwards. So when I was in my career and I was working really hard, I was unconscious to what was motivating me. And it fits exactly the description of imposter syndrome. This idea of like trying to prove yourself and aiming for perfection, never feeling good enough. So that was all fueling. I was working so hard to meet external expectations. And if I felt like if I could just hit that next mark, then I'll be okay. Then I'll feel like I'm good enough. But then that line just keeps moving.
That line does keep moving, and especially in corporate America, it just keeps on moving. And even when you're taking a leap, you have this imposter syndrome because it's like you're trying something new. So that usually keeps people really stuck with where they're at, which is where it sounds like you were, is that you were just
Yes.
stuck.
I was stuck. And I think what caused that stuckness was like not knowing what was in the future, not well, it's when the fear of the unknown is greater than the safe. I don't know. I think I'm getting that wrong.
No, no, no. Actually, you have it totally right. But at least it feels like it to me because the fear of unknown is always going to be greater than your safety zone.
Yeah.
You've got your safe space that you want to stay in, your comfort levels. And getting outside of those comfort levels always makes your brain decide, hey, whoa, this isn't safe. We don't want you to go any further.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, our brains are wired to keep us safe, not happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. All the way back from, when we were little troglodytes.
That's right.
So, when going through that burnout and dealing with being stuck, what wound up helping you have the courage to break free of it?
Oh, man. Well, I think it was just the pain of continuing the way I was going finally got bad enough that suddenly it felt like survival. When I got to that point of making these big choices, it felt like it's either that I keep going the way I'm going. It didn't feel sustainable, especially with burnout. It's like, I can't keep doing this. This isn't working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit more about your journey after that.
After burning out, wow, it was a rocky road because I left my career and then started rebuilding my coaching program. I was going to launch that, but then realized that the container of my marriage wasn't supporting me anymore either. So I needed to change that. So there was a slow dismantling process of kind of undoing the parts of my life that weren't supporting me. And and then it was a rebuilding.
Okay.
And the rebuilding, I had a coach ask me a really great question. And that served as a guiding light for me. She says, "What has energy for you?"
Wow.
And when you're in burnout and you're so depleted, starting with what has energy, what am I excited about? What do I love? What gives me energy?
Mhm.
That became the guiding principle. That was where heartfelt navigation started, even before I knew it by that name. But it was, the big mental flip the switch I flipped when I burnt out was this aware of imposter syndrome, finally realizing I had been striving for external validation, realizing that that was not bringing me happiness, and then flipping and saying, well, really, this is my life. So it's up to me to have fun, to find joy, to do what I want to do. Yeah. So that became the beginning of just navigating based on what lights me up, not what everyone else says I'm supposed to do or, what makes sense to other people, but really just noticing how it makes me feel.
Wow. Wow. Talking about what energy lights you up. That's so huge. So, throughout this process, other than thinking about the energy, what gave you courage to move forward?
Mm. It was hard. I'll be honest. There were a lot of moments of having no courage, and my self confidence was at a low for sure after burnout. Um, where did it come from? It came from music, came from other people. I mean, I think support is so big in these big changes. I wish I had had more support. It's actually what's given me a lot of motivation to do the work I'm doing because I wish someone had been there to help me through burnout that knew it was going to end. They could have told me, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you're
Mhm.
going to be okay. So that now I feel like I want to be that for other people. And that's why I think it's so great what you're doing with the Leap Lab, like having other people. Somehow when I'm on my own and in my own head, things get way scarier. And then as soon as I go and I meet with friends or even just go out into public and watch other people and just it reminds me that those fears are not as big.
Wow, I love that because being around other people, you have your own energy that you're following, and then you get the energy from other people and you get feedback from other people and support. And that's so, so, so important as you're going through a process of change in your own life. Also helping support others through that.
Absolutely.
Now, before we did this podcast, you said something really interesting to me. And that was about the word courage itself. Tell me a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I think I had heard it a few times before that the root of the word courage, core, is Latin for heart. And so we associate courage a lot with facing your fears, following your heart, being courageous. But what I also recently learned is the original definition was actually speaking your truth, speaking from your heart and being authentic.
That's so cool. And we're here today doing that, as well as talking about courage in the other more less traditional sense, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you are trained in neuro coaching with neuroscience. How can that help people as they're going through a big change or a leap in their lives? And do you have anything in neuroscience that people could remember for when they do feel stuck or in change that they could take with them as an action?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I'll say is that going through burnout and trying to recover, it requires a mindset shift. And neuroscience will tell us our brains are plastic, you know, neuroplasticity, right? Um, but we need to create new beliefs. We need to create new stories about ourselves because the old way wasn't working.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as like the tidbits, I mean, I think um, one of the most powerful tools that I like using in coaching is metaphor.
Okay.
If you can get a client to relate to, like, give a picture to what they're experiencing, and then dive into that analogy, it's a great way to be able to gain perspective about how you're relating to your life or your career or your, whatever you're facing. But I will say that you can't access your creative mind unless your body is in a calm state. So the mindfulness stuff is the first thing. You can get yourself into a calm state. And as I work with clients, that's the first thing.
What are some ways that you help clients get into a calm state?
It's getting in touch with your physical sensations in the moment, right? Like feeling your feet on the ground, noticing what you hear, smell. So it's really getting present and connected to your body, breathing, deep breaths.
Okay. So, and that helps calm people down before they launch into your discussions.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, thinking about burnout, taking leaps, what's one piece of advice that you would give people from your experience, both as a coach and as a practitioner, to help them move forward and be able to take a leap of faith really into what's meaningful to them?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the most powerful things you can do is challenge your assumptions.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yeah. We'll come up with stories or we have certain beliefs about ourselves or about the world. And a coach can really help you see these. It can be hard to see them for yourself.
Impossible sometimes, honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You think something is so true. But I feel like if you have someone in your life, coach or a friend or someone who can challenge your assumptions, um, is it true? Maybe not.
Mhm.
But I feel like you have to get into a mindset of experimentation and curiosity and test your ideas and test your assumptions. Really just taking baby steps, as small as they need to be. Like if you need to crawl at first, crawl.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. And somebody who's great with changing assumptions that if the people at home watching or listening are interested, pick up Byron Katie.
yeah.
Pick up a book of hers. She does great work in this particular area.
Yes, she does.
So, yeah. And I love what you said about baby steps or crawling because I firmly subscribe to that. Baby steps will get you there, but the key is making a decision on what you want to do and getting into action. Getting into action is the only way that you can see if things are going to work. And like you said at the beginning, perfectionism is such an issue for us in society and in work. And you aren't going to know what's going to work until you try and have a beginner's mindset in the beginning. Because to think that you can just start off as being fabulous and perfect at what you're doing that's brand new to you, that's a quick way to burn out.
It is. Absolutely. Growth mindset is key.
Growth mindset.
Yeah.
We could probably do a whole podcast on that.
I think we could. Yes. Yeah. But perfectionism is all about trying to meet that outside or those external expectations.
Mhm.
right? And when you flip the switch and you say, it doesn't matter how good I am I enjoying it? Is this something I care about? Do I want to get better at this thing?
Wow. And that is a perfect way of thinking of it because if you don't enjoy it, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Are you just doing it because somebody else is telling you to do it or society saying, "Hey, you can make money doing this." Woo. Or whatever. Why are you doing it? And
Yeah.
thinking about that deep down and getting into your heart about it and asking your heart or your intuition, what is happening when people feel stuck?
Well, I'll speak from my own experience because I've gone in and out of feeling stuck. Usually it's because I'm afraid. And the
Well,
fear is so overwhelming that I just want safety. So when we get stuck, it's that we feel like the path forward isn't safe, that right here is safe. I know this.
mhm,
So don't change it.
that right there. And when you're feeling stuck, thinking about, is this path really safe? Because if you're stuck, that doesn't mean that you're meant to stay there. Because if you're feeling that way, then you aren't. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, then you're definitely not.
The goal is flow.
The goal is flow and to do what you enjoy in life and, of course, be able to live a good life while doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you still have to use your brain.
And get into that beginner's mindset because sometimes your pivot isn't necessarily something that you know or are familiar with. You have to learn along the way. Anything else that you'd like to share with the audience today? This has been great.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I'd love to instill in people is to just try to have more fun. I think life is short. There's a lot of concerns and fears and worries, but when we focus on what brings us joy, when we focus on just having fun and letting go of trying to be perfect, that's when you can experience more flow.
Letting go of trying to be perfect and having more fun. I'm down for that. So,
Me too.
um, so Bonnie, where can people find you and the work that you do?
Yeah. Right now, I'm working on building out a great coaching program to help people transform their relationships with work, to find work life harmony instead of work life balance. I think it's about harmony.
Mm.
I have a presence on LinkedIn. I also have a meetup group called Life After Burnout. You can find me on Meetup and join one of my burnout support groups. Happen regularly online and in person here in San Diego. And I'd love to connect on LinkedIn.
Perfect. And all that information will be in the show notes. Anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, keep going. Just keep going.
Just keep going. Thank you so much for being here with me today. As always, you can find us on theleaplounge.com and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you, Bonnie.
Wow, thank you, Joan.
Thank you for joining us at the Leap Lounge today. Please be sure to like and follow us. To find out more about the Leap Lounge, visit us online. Go to theleaplounge.com. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.